Tucked away in the misty hills of the Forgotten Fields lies a place most riders pass by without a second glance. But behind the broken fences and dead crops is a story, not just of a family, but of misfortune, mystery, and a name that's been all but erased from Jorvik's memory. What happened here? And why does no one seem to speak of them anymore? This is the tale of the unfortunate Dews, a once hopeful farming family whose legacy faded into silence. Are some things forgotten for a reason? Right by the trailer that now has the name of the Forgotten Fields, you're able to find an unusual artifact. I'm sure many of you have gone by this area hundreds of times without really looking twice. Or maybe you have and you find yourself wondering, what's up with this place? The name of this place is the Unfortunate Dews Farm, which is also the old name of the trailer location. If we look closer, we can see what looks like an abandoned farm, filled with cobwebs, dead crops, overgrown plants, a closed shop, and a generally run-down area. It's pretty obvious that this is an abandoned farm, but the thing is that this isn't any abandoned farm. This farm, as the name suggests, used to be owned by the Dew family, who is actually the family of Maya Dew, who is the stable girl in Moorland, and is actually one of the first people we meet when we arrive to Jorvik. So you might wonder, well, why doesn't Maya live at the farm, since it's owned by her family, and why is it abandoned? And what happened to the people who lived at this farm, and why are they named the Unfortunate Dews? Well, let's start off by saying that the Dew family didn't always live in the Forgotten Fields. The Dew family actually owned a much larger, successful farm in Epona, which is called the Dews Farm. Dews Farm is an abandoned farm located on the eastern slopes in the Harvest counties, so in Epona, and the farm is overgrown by weeds by now, and it's still an area that we can access, but there's not really much to do there. I think that now there's some archaeology quests there, or there's a lot of archaeology stuff happening there, but other than that, there's not really a lot happening there, and the farm is just generally neglected. It is a quite large farm, as it has 2 paddocks, 3 silos, and multiple barns. And what is interesting is that the look of this estate, or this whole area, is quite unique, as the style of this area isn't really found anywhere else in Star Stable Online, and I actually think it looks quite pretty. According to Maya, this original farm had animals, massive fields, and even a vineyard, and it was really thriving. But then one day something changed. Maya once mentioned that when they were living on the farm, this old original farm in Epona, suddenly their crops started dying, their animals got sick, and even the family themselves began to fall ill. And this is the believed reason to why they are called the Unfortunate Dews, because how unlucky are you to suddenly get infected with the plague, and not only you, but your crops and your animals? Well, the theory is that this illness, which ruined everything, was not just bad luck. Something or someone was behind it. Now, here's where it really gets suspicious, because during the 2018 Midsummer event, Maya revealed something that most players might have missed. Maya says in a piece of dialogue that Mrs. Drake, which is the executive from GED, who I believe is located in Joylaheim at the moment, she poisoned their land that their farm was on. And what is even more wild is that this piece of dialogue actually lines up. When you apply for a job at GED in the game, in the storyline, Mrs. Drake straight up asks, what would you do if there was a farm on top of a rich mineral deposit? And although this question sounds hypothetical, it's probably not. This makes me think that the old Dews farm was on top of a rich mineral deposit like this, and that made it so that GED was interested in this land. So the thing that most likely happened is that the GED saw the land the Dew family owned, and they decided it was really valuable. So they purposely made it unlivable by poisoning the family and their animals and made their crops die, so that eventually the Dew family didn't have any more choices. Because of all of these things, the Dew family had to sell the land to GED and leave the farm, therefore ending up in the Forgotten Fields. After that whole situation, they relocated to what's now called the Unfortunate Dews farm in the Forgotten Fields. So that is their second farm, and this old one was their old farm. Compared to their old land, this new land in the Forgotten Fields is pretty bad. It's isolated, dry, there's no vineyard, barely any crops, and the buildings are falling apart. And here's the thing, we actually still don't know why exactly the second farm, which is the one in Forgotten Fields, was abandoned. The thing is that we know that the family still visits the farm occasionally, and we also know that Maya goes there sometimes because of the quests that we have with Maya and her horse, and also the fact that there are post-its on this kind of like board there, and some of them are from Maya. But the family, during their visits, they never really stay long. They also don't fix anything in the farm, and they don't rebuild either. But why? It's never explained directly why the Dew family doesn't do anything with this farm, but we can guess. Maybe they don't have the resources, maybe the trauma of what happened in Epona was just too much, or maybe they're afraid it could happen again, that GED's influence isn't as far away as it seems. We know that Maya lives in Moorland, and as far as I know, we don't know where her parents live, even though they have made appearances in the game. Maya apparently also has siblings, but they live with their grandparents, which their home is also unknown. Another thing I wasn't really able to find was if it was her grandparents who lived at the farm or if it was her parents. This may have been mentioned in dialogue somewhere, but I feel like I've missed it. Or maybe it was like some family even further away from that. But I think it must have been her parents or her grandparents, and obviously the farm is now abandoned, so where did they move? They obviously had to move somewhere, which I don't know where that is either. And that is something I kind of thinking about, because like we have waited for a long time to rebuild this farm. As you guys know, we had all of these quests done with the Starshine Ranch and this ranch on South Hoof, where we had this kind of like fix-up project. We needed to rebuild the area, and the Baroness's arena as well was an area that was long in construction. So it is possible that we will get quests about this in the future. As for now, it doesn't really seem like it, but the thing is that the way that the story has kind of built up makes it seem so that Star Stable may be building up to a time where we can maybe use this farm, or it will become an area. We have already had quests with Maya and her horse, as I said, and I actually thought when we got those quests, I thought, oh my god, we're going to fix the farm, but no, we didn't get to do that yet. But I feel like the farm is like a thing that I've thought about for a long time. Like I've always visited there and thought like, well, how does this happen exactly, and who owns this land? And I just thought it's really interesting to think about like the story behind this, and maybe that ties into the main story or just other side quests that we will have in the future, but I think it's really interesting. The Unfortunate Dews farm isn't just a background location. I feel like it's actually kind of a symbol. It represents the cost of corporate power in Jorvik, something that GED has been getting away with for years. If my theories that I just presented are true, I think that's pretty crazy to think about. Maya doesn't really talk much about her past, but when she does, it's clear the Dews lost everything. Not just once, but twice. So the next time you ride past the Forgotten Fields, take a second to stop by the Dews farm and look around, think about what happened there. It's more than just a broken building, it's a part of Jorvik's hidden history. and something that you won't really find unless you kind of read between the lines of quests and stuff. This was a shorter video than usual, but I feel like I had to talk about this because it's just so interesting to me, and I really want to hear you guys' theories or what you think about this. Maybe someone remembers other quest lines than I do, and like other pieces of dialogue. It would have been so good if Star Stable had this kind of like quest log or something, where you can go back and see every piece of dialogue, which I know that would be a lot because there's a lot of dialogue in Star Stable. It's basically all the quests are just dialogue. But I think it would be good to have just like a quick rundown of every single quest line so that we can go back and like have more accessibility to the story and like the lore and stuff, because like things are written on your Wikipedia but not every single piece of dialogue. So I think it's really fun when I can actually remember something from dialogue, though it's hard to find it again since obviously I don't have these quests anymore to do on my user, and I won't go through with a whole new user just to do this specific quest. But I think that's something that Star Stable really should incorporate, or some sort of like history book where we can see like stuff that has happened in the game and quests, and also what is canon, because Star Stable changes their quests all the time, so it would be nice to know like what is canon from time to time. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more Star Stable lore and theories, and I am so glad to have any suggestions for future videos. And on top of that, I just want to thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. It really means the world to me. It's crazy how much this channel has grown and how much I've been able to do within just these past couple months of having this channel. Been so supportive, and I've gotten so many great messages from you guys, and it means the world to me. Like, you're the absolute sweetest. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!